Now I'm going to start this video off and take note that I'm not taking political sides and I'm not trying to bash one party or the other. I'm just looking at the financial ramifications and possibilities of what might transpire in the future. Now, with that said, I'm seeing a ton of companies, a ton of factories close down or announce that they'll be closing, and many of them moving to Mexico, south of the border. Now, none of this is new. We've been seeing this for 30 years, but one of the things that's different is the hurried pace that I'm seeing these places close up. Now, if we went back 20 years ago and I read an article that stated a company would be closing, it would go something like this. XYZ company will be closing next year and we'll be laying off 50% of the workers in a few months. And by this time next year, we'll be retaining 10% of the workers to wind down operations. Now, let's fast forward today, and I'm reading articles where it's saying we're closing up shop. All of the employees will be laid off, and we will begin starting production in our new plant, Mexico, in 30 days. This is just my opinion on what it seems like is going on. These companies, they're in a rush to get out of here. And the only thing I can think of is they see a disruption in their production. Now, I made a previous video on what I believe is going to be chaos come October of this year before the election. Now, the Republican nominee, Donald Trump, he has proposed that he will be deporting 30 million people from the United States. Now, I'm not taking any sides on whether this is a good thing or whether it's a bad thing, but removing 10% of the population is going to have ramifications, financial ramifications. And I believe some of these companies, they're getting out of here now to set up production in Mexico so that if there is any chaos, there will be no disruptions from those companies. Now, Donald Trump has proposed that on day one, he will be beginning this deportation, and those 30 million people will be rounded up, put in camps, and eventually deported to their country. And from a financial aspect, that's going to mean disruption, and that's also going to mean chaos. Now, if you don't look like Donald Trump and you're seeing people rounded up and put in camps, and my guess is the welfare of these people that'll be in camps, it won't be absolutely great. So you're going to strike fear in many millions of Americans, even people who are here legally, people who were born here legally. Many of them, they're going to be afraid to go to work. They're going to be afraid that perhaps they're caught in this dragnet and they're sent to a camp and they're deported. And I don't care what state you're in, you're very likely going to be fearful. And that's going to stop commerce, and that's going to have a ton of financial ramifications. And that's the only reason that I can think of why these companies, they're hurrying up and getting out of here, because I'm reading articles where they're shutting down production immediately, and they don't even care about the Warren Act where the workers can sue them for not giving them enough notice. They don't care. They're closing their doors, closing up shop, and they're moving immediately. So that's just something to think about. Now, what I'm also seeing is the amount of bankruptcies, and I predicted this a few months ago in many videos that you would begin to see a slew of bankruptcies, that many of these companies, they will run to the trough and try to get bankruptcy financing all at the same time, but there wouldn't be enough financiers to satisfy all the bankruptcies. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a ton of these places, a ton of these bankruptcies end in the company dissolving, being liquidated, and that's only going to ratchet up. That's only going to move higher. And again, we're going to start seeing big names, and the company Big Lots, it might be one of them. Now, this company, its shares are hovering near $1, and they have about $40 million in cash, but have about $2.4 billion in debt. And I can assure you, they're not going to survive. They're not going to be able to find the financing, and you're likely going to see Big Lots liquidated. Now, what time frame that is, I'm not sure, but it will probably be before the end of the year, and they're not going to be the only ones. Now, another thing that I'm seeing is with a lot of these bankruptcies, I'm reading that the workers, they're not getting paid. The workers, they won't see their last paycheck, or the workers, they're fighting to get their last paycheck. And that just shows you the financial dire straits that many of these companies are in, that America is in, that the public is in. Because if you work 2 weeks for a company and you're expecting a paycheck and you're not getting it, not only can that be frustrating, but that can psychologically be a breaking point. And we've seen the amount of tragedies, suicides going up in this country. And that's only going to get worse as the financial woes pile on. You're going to see many people self-harm themselves. Now, if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.